Hello, hello, I'm Tracy Pierce. Thanks for joining me for this Live with the Animals video series. So this series started back in March of 2020 when the coronavirus was making itself very well known on the world front. There were a lot of places starting to go into shelter-in-place orders, quarantine, different kinds of lockdown measures. And I became really curious what the animals thought about all of this, both the domestic and the wild animals. And my animal friends kept pinging me saying, hey, Tracy, do this video series. We have wisdom we want to share with the world. Could you please provide us a medium to do that? And so really this whole series is driven by the animals. And as long as they keep coming forward and saying that they have messages to share, I'll be doing this series. All right, so today our guest is a raven, and this picture was sent to me by a friend. And it's funny, I woke up this morning and I heard the raven kind of talking at me already. That's why I'm wearing my black shirt today. I don't wear black very often, but the raven did ask me to wear it, so I'm honoring it and doing that. So I'm just going to go ahead and if you're joining me live on Zoom today, if you have questions, you can type them into the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to get quiet here and start tuning into this raven and see what it has to share with us today. Okay, this raven is coming through super, super fast. I must already have a connection to it. It's telling me it's female. It's telling me that the raven brings a lot of messages about the shadow side of our lives. And it's one of the reasons it's asking me to wear black. It says, what about shadow side? It feels like that. I mean, that's kind of what I woke up this morning and you felt like saying something about ravens represent a way we can get in tune with our shadow side, or is there more to it? Our shadow sides are what can cause us the most headache in our lives. Because these shadow parts of ourselves, they can be really ugly, and it's saying, it can be these parts that we want to shove in the closet and not acknowledge. And, maybe we've done crappy things in our lives to other people, or, just haven't lived up to I hear moral standards, our own moral standards, like we've allowed ourselves to fall a bit. And he's saying when we don't acknowledge these parts of ourselves is when I think he's showing this twisting kind of thing, like we get twisted up in our energy when we either refuse to look at our shadow side or don't acknowledge it or automatically condemn it as bad, is what it's saying. She's saying. So this, the raven is showing. So the person who sent me this picture has a background in shamanism. I do not have a background in shamanism. I know a little bit here and there, but I'm not fully trained or anything. And the bird is showing how the raven is such an important symbol, archetype, and just animal in shamanism. It's showing a lot of taking people who are ready to go into the journey of looking into their shadow sides and looking into those darker pieces of themselves, that the raven can really support those kind of journeys. And it doesn't have to be in a completely shamanistic kind of like the raven saying, I'm not saying you need to go to a shaman in order to work with a raven. It's just saying there is a lot of resonance with shamanistic tradition there. So I was saying you certainly could work with a shamanic practitioner if that's what you felt drawn to. So the raven is now pointing to its beak. So The raven says, I feel like there might be questions from people about what's the difference between a raven and a crow. And the raven is saying there are physical characteristics that are different. It's pointing, the raven is pointing at its beak, saying our beaks look different. The size can be different. But a lot of, the raven says, a lot of the messages that we bring can be similar. There are a lot of overlapping kind of messages. So the raven's saying if you feel more drawn to work with crow energy, that could be like there's just a slight kind of difference between the crow and the raven is what this raven is telling me. And if you feel more drawn to work with the crow, to work on your shadow side, that's also really legitimate. Feels like what the raven is showing me is there's a little bit more, it almost feels like feminine energy somehow with the raven versus the crow. Do you want to tell me more about that, Raven? So I'm not sure that the differences are so important. We do bring a lot of the same messages. I just wanted to throw in there that if people felt more drawn to work with a black bird, such as a crow, that there are a lot of overlapping similarities, and it is about tuning into your own intuition more than anything, the raven says. Okay. So do you feel like there's a specific way people could work with you who are wanting to look at their shadow side, or is there more along that particular line of thought that you want to share? So again, it's bringing my awareness to its beak and showing there is like this sharpness at the end of its beak. And it's almost like it's using its beak to, I see it pointing its beak in the direction it wants to go. Is there, like, I keep feeling this element of precision in there. Is there something about that you want to expand on? You can use the raven to help find the precise way or the precise kind of way in to the shadow work that you're doing, is what the raven is showing. Like, if you can tune into that raven energy, there's almost a way of like tuning into its beak and allowing it to kind of point and show what part of the shadow work you need to work on right now. Okay. I wonder if there's more along the shadow work that you want to share, or anything else about you and messages your species might want to bring to us humans. So you can also, he's saying this isn't necessarily specific to ravens, but showing how some people are really drawn to birds and wild birds or domestic birds, saying it doesn't really matter. But the birds that he's pointing, he's like, it doesn't really apply to birds that can't really fly. Like, it's showing me like certain domestic birds maybe have their wings clipped and they can't fly properly, or showing me, well, I see penguins. I don't think they're really birds, are they? Maybe they are. Okay, so what it's showing me is he's saying I'm referring to birds that can fly. So I'm dismissing the other kind of birds that are more land bound. But he's showing me, like, or, I'm sorry, it's a she, soaring, this kind of soaring over the land kind of vision. And it's almost like having a zoomed out kind of vision. It almost feels a bit like a game of chess, maybe, where you can see the whole bigger picture and see the moves ahead of place, saying that humans that are wanting to get a broader perspective can tune into really any kind of birds that have that aspect of soaring, and asking to have the vision of a broad perspective from above kind of thing. Or even says that's one of the reasons that humans are so drawn to birds is, it is the flying aspect, that like wanting to have the overall view, that picture. Like it's showing me, I don't know if you've probably seen pictures if you haven't experienced it yourself, but like being on the top of a mountain and being able to see just miles and miles and miles in like every direction. The raven is saying there's such a bigness in our energy when we have the opportunity to experience those kind of things. And it's saying it's a similar kind of experience to be soaring above. Like you don't have to have the mountains, but you have that huge, big, vast peripheral, like spreading horizontal vision where you just see forever. The raven believes that's one of the big reasons that humans are drawn to flying, and want to have invented airplanes and things like this, where we can be up and higher and above. We really want to have that viewpoint of the bird. Is there more to that, or no? Okay. Okay. Well, what else would you like to share with us today? I'm not seeing any questions come in from our viewers. So are there other things that you would like to share with us today, or words of wisdom from the raven? So it's almost like it's showing me highlights of all the things we've already kind of mentioned and talked about today. And I see this swirling kind of motion that's happening around the raven. And okay, I have an idea about what that means. Do you want to show me more, or? So the raven, yeah, she's showing there is a real ability or quality of alchemy that is available through the raven. So it's asking people who really are ready to step into the shadow work, and to take that energy and be able to incorporate it or mix it. That's interesting. Well, it's alchemized basically, because it's not just about mixing it. There's like I'm seeing like a separation out kind of process happening, where like it's a refinement of things popping out that aren't who we really are, and alchemy, the becoming gold in the center kind of thing. Raven is saying there's a lot of powerful medicine for people who are ready to take that step. You could ask the raven to sit on your shoulder, is what she's saying, to sit with you through your process as you work through some of these shadow issues. And it might just be as simple as that. The raven is saying, she's saying, I've given you a ton of information, and it's not like you have to sit down and do something really super specific beyond tuning into the raven and asking for guidance, asking for what the next step might be. Even just asking a raven to hold, maybe not a raven, but like the archetype or the higher blueprint of the raven, to help hold this energy for you as you're going through your alchemical work. Yes, the raven says, I'm a powerful alchemist. I'm a very powerful alchemist. And if you're asking the raven to come and work with you, you better be ready, is what raven is saying, because there can be, I see this all swirling like a tornado around, like to work on these aspects of yourself may really stir up and mix up, and it has the possibility to confuse you as to who you are for a while. It can be very deep and transformative, but it can create chaos. So it's good to have a guide. And the Raven's saying, you know, it might be like if you're a more advanced practitioner, or you know you've done a lot of spiritual work, it might be possible that the Raven alone could be your guide. But you know, if you're somebody who's younger, or I don't mean age-wise younger on your spiritual path, like maybe you've just started on your journey, it might be worth, if you haven't tapped into this shadow work before, to find a human practitioner as well to help you hold space. Raven is advising, yes, that we need that support, and Raven can provide some of that support, but some of us need more like down here in real reality, like physical reality, rather than just holding the archetype of the Raven and asking it to help. Like we may need support down here as well, so don't disregard that. All right. Is there more that you want to share? Doing this shadow work is really important. Saying, you know, you might hear different names for it, essentially, in different spiritual traditions or communities, they may call it different things. But if you're looking at these deep, dark places in yourself, that's what it is. That's the work that the Raven is really called to help with and hold space for. So she says, and that's it. All right. Thank you so much, Raven. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us. And thanks so much to all of our viewers here today. I hope you'll join us again sometime. There's plenty of videos over on my YouTube channel of other interviews I've done with other animals. I hope you'll check them out. And I hope you'll join us sometime again. So until next time, take care and be well.